undefined, this is what it sounds like. Welcome back to the Exorcist Bestiary. The Exorcist Bestiary. Amity's in the middle. Why is Amity in the middle? Oh, because remember last week when we were like, our whole season 2 is going to be about the fruit of the spirit. We had like such a clean, presentable little like theme, and it was like, wow, these guys really got into the swing of things and know what they're doing. We changed that entirely. That was actually a fake story because Amity decided that we needed to do an episode about K-pop demon hunters. So we have thrown the theme out the window. We'll get back to it next week, whatever. I have never been more excited to film an episode of this podcast. I have a list on my phone of all of the topics that I want to make sure that we touch on. I did so much research for this video, and I have so many thoughts.
She did.
And I can't wait to talk about it for 6 hours.
And this is totally what I envisioned when I started the Exorcist Bestiary.
Okay, well, that's the thing. That's the thing. Is like, I didn't expect to love this movie so much. I didn't expect this movie that Netflix made about K-pop, which is something I literally don't know anything about at all. I didn't expect it to have such like rich and like beautiful imagery of what real life spiritual warfare looks like, but it did. And so I want to talk about it because you always talk about wanting to like normalize spiritual warfare and wanting to like stop like making people feel freaked out and weird about it, and, like bring it to the general public in terms that people can understand so that they're better equipped. And now this huge blockbuster smash hit movie that people across the globe love and are obsessed with is doing that and is like bringing really cool concepts about spiritual warfare into the mainstream in a beautiful way. And the music is so good. Right?
Yeah,
anyway, I got too excited. I forgot that I usually start this with like a dumb question or some kind of comedic
it's Tasha's
preamble.
birthday.
That's so true. It's Tasha's birthday today.
Tasha always expected that one day she would go do a podcast about demons and K-pop as a birthday present to herself.
This is my dream.
Everyone say happy birthday, Tasha, in the comments.
Aw, thank you.
Happy birthday, Tasha. That's me pretending to be the comments. Anyway, okay, so K-pop Demon Hunters. Yeah. I watched this movie, and then as I was about 20 minutes from the movie being done, I was like, I actually need to watch this movie again immediately. And I sent a message to Nerd Church, which is a church for nerds that we're all a part of. And I was like, we need to watch this movie. So then we watched it that same night. I watched it twice in a row. And then I've watched it 2 more times since then because it's actually so good. It's actually so good. You've just seen it the one time, right?
Yep.
And you've seen it the one time.
I've seen it. I saw it like hours ago.
This is one of those movies, though. It's kind of like Frozen. When Frozen came out, like everybody was just watching it over and over again, and the songs were stuck in everybody's head. Like this is that.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a TV show, which is why I didn't watch it sooner, because I was like, I don't want to commit to a long thing. But when I found out it was a movie, I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot.
I didn't watch it because I was like, I don't know about K-pop and I don't care about K-pop. I actually found out about this movie, though, because I have a friend who's obsessed with K-pop, and she messaged me, and she was like, Amity, there's this new movie out, and it's about these girls, and they fight demons with the power of music. Isn't that what you do at your little charismatic church? And I was like, low-key kind of, I guess.
They seem to fight a lot more with swords, in my opinion, but
than with music? Well, that's because actually that's not true. Because where does the magic of their swords come from? It's the community that they build by facilitating their music. It's the fans. So the heart and the spirit and the community of the fans who listen to their music and feel connected to by their creative expression into the world, that's what gives them the like magic powers to be able to have their swords and strengthen the Hunmoon.
I'm not afraid to get the lore wrong and be corrected on this episode.
And I have watched several other podcasts in preparation so that I can correct. Hang on, I have to look at my list of the things that I wanted to talk about.
Well, before we go too deep, might be some watching this who haven't watched K-pop Demon Hunter. In which case,
spoilers ahead,
but also you might want to go watch it and come back. But just for a general synopsis as to how it goes, Do you want to
Yeah,
do
okay.
it, or do you want us to?
This is gonna be the. I was so the last.
And then he's
couple,
like, and she's like.
No, so the last couple podcasts we've filmed, I have finished it, and I've thought to myself like, man, Amity, you talked at the beginning and you talked at the end, and then you didn't contribute to the conversation at all in the middle. And this is the redemption arc for that, because
Yes.
I'm about to speak so much. So sorry. K-pop Demon Hunters. It is this world where there are demons and they're trapped in the demon realm, right? But their goal is to get into the human world and to take the souls of humans and like send them back to the demon world so the demon king can like eat all these souls or whatever. That's their goal. And so there are these 3 women who have like the magic of music and community and a lot of different other spiritual undertones that get very Christian. But there's these 3 magical women who, with the power of their song, can fight the demons and like take them down. And so every like generation there's 3 new young women who kind of rise up to fight the demons, and they're the demon hunters. And at the beginning opening scene, which is so phenomenal, it's one of the greatest parts of the movie, just the way that they set things up really beautifully, shows through the different like decades and through different musical genres and different styles, these 3 women over and over and over and over again rising up to help fight the demons and create what's called the Honmun, which is basically like a shield of like music and community and fandom, I guess, that's kind of like a spiritual guard over the entire world so the demons can't get through. And when when the hunters are doing a really good job, the Honmun is strong, and when they're not doing a good job, the Honmun is weak. And the story centers on the current hunters, which is a K-pop group called Huntrix, because K-pop is like the modern day big like musical thing. And they are kind of building upon the work of the past hunters in a way that if they can like pull off a great big song, they get to seal something called the Golden Honmun, which is basically like the human world is safe forever. If they can make the Honmun golden, then the demons are trapped forever in the demonic world, and I guess then there would be no more reason for the hunters because they've sealed it once and for all and the demons can't get through. So that's the premise of the movie. And then what's happening is one of the girls, the main girl in the show, Rumi, she's like the lead hunter. She has the most insane vocals of anyone I've ever heard in my life. I would give anything to be able to sing like she sings. She has this like past because her dad is some sort of either a demon or a human that's been demonized, which I have a theory on. We'll get into that later. And so she has patterns, and patterns are the thing that like the demons have. So the hunters, they can tell who's a demon because the demons can have like shapeshift magic and they can look like regular people. But they have these patterns, and it's like, oh, if you have patterns, then you're a demon. So Rumi was born with these patterns, and so she is trying to not only save the world, she's trying to save herself, because her like coach, mentor person, Celine, who I also have a lot of opinions on, we'll get into later, has told her, like, when you seal the Golden Honmun, then your patterns are going to go away, and you're going to be normal, just like everybody else, and so, like, you have to hide them until that happens. So, the Demon King is aware that the Golden Honmun is getting close to being sealed. And so their like kind of like last ditch effort is this guy Jinu, who is a demon, or we think he's a demon. And he is like, I'm going to make a demon boy band and I'm going to steal all the fans from Huntrix and I'm going to eat the souls of their fans. And so without their fans, they don't have the community that they need to build the Honmun. And so we're going to go and destroy, and then the demons are going to take over the world and eat everybody, and the apocalypse will happen, and da 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 da. So now there's competition, and so the Huntrix group has to fight the Saja Boys, which is the demon boy band, and they get into hijinks and they're competing with each other, and it all culminates into this epic battle at the end, where they ultimately do defeat the Demon King, and they're able with the power of friendship to kind of save the world or whatever. But there's a lot of really cool spiritual warfare stuff that happens in between. But that's the general synopsis of the movie.
I'll do the TLDR version of everything. Girl band slay demons, boy band be demons, fight for fans, girl band win.
Okay, sure. Awesome. So that's the premise of the movie.
I'm still puzzling. What does TLDR mean?
I don't know.
What? Too long, didn't read?
Oh.
I
Guys,
gotcha.
come on.
Do I need to redo it? Was that too long?
No, I'll just
No.
chipmunk
You
your
did
voice.
amazing.
Okay. Anyway, so that's the premise of the movie. Are we getting right into it? Can I get right into it? Mm-hmm. Okay, there are many things about this movie that I love. One of the main things that I love about this movie is the really, really clear depictions of good and evil, right? Because we live in this world of anti-heroes where all of our modern media is all about like the gray area, right? And they're like, oh, what if this bad guy wasn't actually bad? What if he was had a redemption arc? Oh, what if this evil person wasn't actually evil? He's just misunderstood. He's just morally gray. And we kind of like repackage things that are bad for you, and we try to be like, no, but it's okay if you like look at it in this light, like it's not all that bad, which that makes sense because in the world there is gray areas and people aren't wholly 100% totally evil, and there is all of these different things that like contribute and factors, and you're a product of your environment and da 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 da. But that's not true about demons, right? Like that's the world that doesn't relate to at all. Demons are bad, always. They're evil. They're here to rob, kill, and destroy. There's nothing good and nothing redemptive about a demon. And in this movie, they kind of go away from the like pop culture, like everyone's redeemable type thing, and they really do hit hard the message that like demons are bad, and we get that from the beginning to the end. The way that they depict the demons is like it's a movie for kids, so that some of the demons are like they look silly and they look goofy, but
Legend of Zelda orc looking things.
Yeah. And there's like funny little things where you see them like crying and or like getting excited and all this kinds of stuff. But they never paint them to be like fun characters that you should be sympathetic towards or relate to. They're like, no, these are evil. The main thing that they're here for is to destroy the people on Earth, and they're like bad. Now, in the middle of the movie, I got a little nervous because I was like, oh no. Genu is this demonic guy, like, right? He's the demon boy. He's the king of the boy band. He's the main idol of the Saja boys. And I was like, they set up this little, like, kind of romance arc for him and Rumi. And I was like, oh no, they're going to do the mega mind, the bad guy's not really the bad guy thing. And they're going to be like, see, you demons aren't all bad, da 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 da. And I was worried about that. And then they actually didn't do that at all, because Genu isn't even a demon. He's a human that's been demonized. He's a human being who has been suffering under such immense demonic abuse and torment and oppression that he is now like has a misrepresentation of his own identity, and he like views himself to be a demon, and he's living into the lies of the demons, and so he's being taken over by these patterns that make him like into this like demonized human. And then his story arc isn't one of like, see, the bad guy wasn't really all that bad. It was like, no, that person was being oppressed, and now he's free from that, and he needed to be free from the demons who are evil. And so this whole thing, you get these really, really strong themes of like good versus evil. And now there's no like kind of like God character in this movie, which is, it's not a Christian movie, so like fine, it doesn't have to have a God character. It's not a Christian movie, but there definitely is kind of like a devil character, right? The big like hellmouth that's like the king of demons is like the one who's like sending all this stuff out. And so you get this like really, really strong and beautiful like good versus evil, and all of the redemption arcs that kind of take place in the movie are showing like evil is evil, and the redemptive thing here is people being freed from the evil. And it's like not a message of like, you gotta just embrace the demonic and learn to live with it and da-da-da-da-da, because it's not that bad. It's like, no, that stuff's really bad. That stuff's really scary. Don't mess with it at all. Trap them in the demon world.
I was waiting for that ending, because
yeah,
there
right?
were moments I was like, where are you going with this in the end?
Yeah.
But they didn't. They didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, so I love that. I like the good versus evil thing, because it's not trying to like package demons as something that's like cool and fun to get involved with, and there's a lot of media that does do that and does try to package it that way, and this movie doesn't do that at all, which is why I think it's great.
Yep. Yeah, it was similar for me. The same concerns that I had. Just I'm like, are we about to sympathize with demons, and are we about to say, yeah, I got to embrace your demons to be a person? Because both of those themes could have been told in there, but ultimately they went a different route, where it was like it still gets there's like a few spots where like I'm not exactly sure what's being communicated here. Like the end, in the end, she's like, now she has the scars, but like
And I'm actually so glad you brought that up because Rumi, I think, is in a very similar situation to Jinu, right? Like, I don't think that she is a demon. She gets, like, painted like a demon. Like, people are telling her, like, oh, you're part demon because you have these patterns. And I think it's probably more likely a very similar situation to what Jinu's dealing with, where she's a human that's being demonized. And you can see this in a couple of spots in the movie because every time that her demons, like, or her patterns, like, grow and get stronger, it's directly connected to Rumi listening to demonic lies of like when she lives into shame and when she lives into fear and when she isolates herself from her community of like spiritual strength and she agrees with the demons, then the thing that seems to make her demonic is growing and gaining strength over her. And when she like shuts that entirely down and is like, I'm not listening to that anymore, I'm choosing to live into healing and I'm choosing to live into good and I'm choosing to follow the good instead of the evil, she like has the remnants of the patterns, like she has the scars that show what she has been through, but they're scars. They're not patterns anymore. She's not living into demonic lies anymore. She has the evidence that she did at one point in her life, because you know, that's how scars work, but she is like living into her humanity and is no longer like a demon at the end of the movie. And so all of the stuff where they're like, oh, the darkness must meet the light and I'm not hiding this about me anymore, I didn't get the message that it was like a, oh, you've got to embrace your dark side and da-da-da-da-da, and the darkness and the light can exist together in the same person. I didn't get that message at all. I got like, I was hiding and now I'm not hiding anymore. And because I'm not hiding anymore, that stuff doesn't affect me at all. I'm choosing to live into truth. I'm choosing to live into goodness. And so now the demonic has no hold over me. I am fully realizing my identity and my humanity. And that's why the patterns at the end aren't patterns. They're just scars.
Yeah. Which there's a lot of themes that I'd get into right now off what you said, but I feel like you're probably already going to go there later.
No, go for it.
Well, for one, I've seen people like demonic tricks on people where the demons will more or less say like, you basically are a demon, like because we're here, therefore you're demonized, or you are a demon, or look at what Jesus is trying to do here or there, and you feel opposed to those things, so you're kind of like a demon toward what Jesus is up, you know. And like when I meet people who are dealing with that, I'm like, you got to let that go. That's your identity as a human. You are good. You are made in God's image, and you do not carry the demon image. You are not demonized. Jesus spends time freeing people from those kinds of things. So I do feel like you're right. The more that they kind of like lean into the demonizing of what's her face?
Rumi.
The more they demonize Rumi, the more like the lies that she is a demon grow and capture her more. So there was that. And then as well, as we see in Deliverance all the time, like if you're not able to be open and honest with your stuff, it gives a space for it to continue.
There was a really good line from Jinu in the movie right at the beginning when he's still like evil before he has his little like getting freed from the Demon King arc. He goes to Guima, who's the Demon King, and Guima is like, oh, you are gonna fight these girls, but every demon I've ever sent to fight them has lost. Like, why do you think you're going to be any different? Like, why are you like interacting with this girl in this way? And da 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 da. And Jinu is like, well, she has patterns, which means she has shame, which means I can use that. Yeah. And so like he immediately sees the shame aspect that's attached to her for that, and he's like, oh, because like I know exactly how to exploit this, I know exactly how to like abuse this, like I know exactly what I need to tell her to keep her believing these lies, and it's all centered around the shame that she has about her heritage and about this like thing that she doesn't even frankly have any control over. But like the shame aspect is what he really latches on to.
Which is because he has so much shame himself. Like he's already learned these lessons to be able to reiterate them with someone else. And that, like even in this past week, this came to my mind just the other day. The expression like "shame on you," that I had heard that growing up, which like it was just one of those common kind of expressions people gave. But when I look back at my life, I'm like, man, the amount of like yes, I received that shame. And usually because I had done something wrong, shame on you is like, I received that shame in the name of Jesus. That's often what it kind of felt like. Like if I do something wrong, I should be ashamed, and therefore, if it's communicated well enough, then like it becomes religious and it becomes an identity, and this becomes me. And then that grows more in time because people don't usually come around and be like, okay, be unashamed now. It's usually just the shame part. So
Yeah. Which the other thing that I really loved about this movie is I think that they really accurately depicted the way in which demons kind of get you, right? So going off of the topic of shame, so with the good and the evil thing, they don't depict the evil to be stronger than the good. It's not like a kind of like two sides of the same coin, equal forces, both fighting against each other, equally strong. The demons are very limited in what they can do. And that's accurate to IRL demons. Like the Guima stays in the demon world, right? He's trapped there for most of the movie. He can't just come and interact with and steal the soul of any human that he wants to. And even when the demons come up to the Earth, like the Saja boys, they can't just get anyone they want. They operate in like a very specific way. They the first thing is they talk. Like that's Guima's like big powerful thing is he just talks and talks and talks and talks. And he can't like suck the soul right out of somebody. He can't like kill somebody on Earth just like that because he wants to. What he does is he talks to them. And we see this a couple of times in the movie when the Zoe and Mira at the end are starting to fall under the control of demons. Like he whispers their greatest fears and their greatest shames in their head. And it's like this moment of like, yeah, live into that lie. That thing that you are already afraid of, it's true. It's true. And because it's true, no one will ever love you except for me. So like that lie is true, and I'm the only person who is gonna like accept you for that, right? And so he's talking and he's talking and talking, which that's pretty much what demons do on Earth, like in real life. They talk and they talk and they talk and they lie and they lie and they lie. And it's not until people accept that and like give the demon permission to have power over them that a demon really can have power over them, right? They like latch on to something that they can exploit, and when you're like, okay, I am willing to listen to your voice of demonic lies instead of listening to the truth, that's kind of when they like get you. And in the movie, the Saja boys, they like can only like take the souls of people who have already bought into them. So like every time we see, there's like a scene on a train where the Huntrix girls are fighting demons on the train, and then they get down and they're like, oh no, everybody's off the train. They all got taken by these demons, and everybody's phones are playing the Soda Pop song, which is like the Saja Boys like theme song or whatever. And or they all have on their phone, they have the Pride app because their like fan base is called the Pride because their little like icon of their group is a lion. Yeah. So that when you join the Pride, and you like listen to this song and you start like obsessing over and worshiping these K-pop idols, because in K-pop, that's just what you call like a rock star. Like a K-pop star, in the same way that we would be like, oh, she's a pop star, they're a rock star. Idol. Yeah, like they're called idols. Like that's just what you call somebody in a K-pop band. So when you start worshiping these idols, then that's the only way that they can get you. And in like the bathhouse, there's this old man who you see him like singing the like My Little Soda Pop song, and then his soul gets taken. But they can only mess with and hurt the people who are already buying into their lies. They don't have unlimited power. They're not some like supercharged evil force that we could never hope to defeat. They're just liars, and they can only have power over you as long as you give them permission to have power over you. And as soon as you start like living into truth and leaning into the good and leaning into what's accurate and leaning into like health and restoration of God, like they literally can't, like they don't have permission to be in charge of you anymore. And I also thought that the movie did a really good job of depicting that. Like once the girls start singing their song at the end, which is the best song in the whole film, everybody kind of snaps out of the lies that Guima has been telling them, and that's how they're able to defeat like darkness as a whole and get their honeymoon back going. Is they're like, oh, we're no longer listening to this voice, and the voice is really the thing that has power.
Yeah, I think the voices, listening to the voice is pretty much everything in Deliverance ministry. I realize that there are other ways demons can get in and mess people up, like generationally and stuff like that. But still, to some extent, that's like a continuation of listening to the voice, continue to keep the door open kind of thing. You got to stop listening to it to get it out, regardless of how it got in. And I think sometimes like we look at some of the Bible stories so flatly, and it's just like, Gerasene demoniac, look at what, you just walk in, this guy's crazy and demons and blah, blah, blah. I recently preached on that very story where I wondered what went on in that guy's life that got him to the point of listening to the voices. So it's like he's always spending time around the graves. Maybe he lost his wife and he couldn't deal with his grief, and he was going back there time and time again, and then suddenly hearing all these depressing thoughts, and then the Bible says that he's like cutting himself. Maybe that's how he starts dealing with his grief there in the graves, and now he's sleeping there, and now he's losing his mind and running around naked. And like, this is a very different way of instead of just like the creepy demon man of the Gerasenes, like what if it's a guy who had a traumatic life experience, like most people who are trying to deal with their pain. The demons start talking, he starts listening until the man who used to have it all together in town has slowly kind of lost it all until he's known as the demoniac. But Jesus doesn't come along and demonize him, he comes along and frees him, which then allows him to
Humanizes him.
Yeah, and integrate it back
Just
into
like
the community.
Genu.
Yeah. Whereas in the movie, just like listening to that voice is just like a paralyzing, hazy world that you start falling into.
Yeah.
Even in the last week, I've had that happen to me where I'm just like, why are my thoughts like there's voices bombarding me, and I am listening to them, and the more I listen to them, the more hazy I get, and the more I start treating people around me incorrectly. I got to get out of this, which then became not holding it in, but letting it out until I could find freedom from exposing the thoughts that were in my head. So, yeah, and that's in many ways what the movie is teaching as well. So,
one of the things I really loved was when they were trying to figure out this last song that they have to win by, in their original song, they're talking about how, these demon hunters suck and they're horrible. And, one of the lines that really stood out is, I don't think that we can win with hate. I don't think that we can win with this. And it reminds me of something that, Jamin always says is you can't become a demon to get a demon out. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
That's what Amity said when she watched it.
You can't be a demon to fight
quotable.
a demon. Yeah.
It's one of my top rules.
That was one of the things on my let me see how I phrase it on my list of talking points.
Oh, she had to make it sound better than how I originally said it.
What? No.
Don't become a demon to remove a demon.
Yeah. It's so great. It's so great because there's also that line is super good. Like I don't think we can win with hate. The other line that's super great is Genu, the demonized human. When he's talking to Rumi at one point, she's talking about how like she's gonna defeat the demons for the power of good and they'll never win and da 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 da. And Genu says, if Guima could be defeated by hatred, I would have taken him down a long time ago. Where he's been like, I have spent my life stewing and living in just unfathomable rage and hatred, and it actually hasn't been productive at all. It actually hasn't done anything to fight like the demons, because like rage and hatred is the weapon of demons. It's not the weapon of good. It's not the thing that Jesus is a champion of. And so the girls, they try to take down the Saja boys with this like diss track of like, you spent your whole life spewing lies, you're hideous on the inside, we see what you really are, and we're gonna kill you because we hate you, and da 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 da. And then the part of the movie that is so gut-wrenching is all of these things that they've been talking about, and like this method to fight the demons with like just hatred and rage and da 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 gets flipped back on them and is the thing that destroys their group, because Rumi goes up and she's gonna sing her little golden song, and then the demons come and they start singing Takedown to her disguised as her friends, and all of these messages that she's been like projecting onto the demons of like, I see what you really are, I see your real face and it's ugly as sin and da 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 da. Now her like friends, she thinks it's her friends, are saying these things to her, and like the weapons that they had forged of hatred and rage to like take down, because they thought they had to, they thought that was the way that they would find a way forward. They thought that was what they had to do to fight. Gets flipped back on them, and it totally backfires because you can't fight hatred with hatred. And so what ends up being the thing is the song, This Is What It Sounds Like, is the opposite of that. It's like the antithesis of Takedown, where it's this beautiful, beautiful set of lyrics that's all about, like, we let the demons get between us, and we let them lie to us, but now we know the truth that we are not doing this by ourselves. And, like, in the community of support that we have built up, like, we can find freedom by, like, rejecting the hatred, not choosing to shackle ourselves to these things that only drag us farther into shame, but, like, choosing to, like, move forward in honesty and, like, this beautiful, it really, like, Christian confession is what this reminds me of.
Yeah.
Like, bringing these things, like, forward and, like, being honest about this stuff. And, like, moving forward into that is the thing that actually helps them defeat it. It's, like, living into love and living into community and, like, living into this, like, spiritual strength that they have built up with, like, honesty and truth and goodness and perseverance is the thing that and ultimately takes down and defeats, like, the rage and the hatred.
Yeah, and if you're looking for like some really good works to read, it's a little deeper though. A theologian named Walter Wink, he really kind of made this a big deal in theology called the domination cycle, where it's just like...
I've heard you preach about this.
Right. Anytime someone's dominating, you want to come in and dominate them to kick them out by doing the same exact things that they did to get there. And like that brings peace for a time. Like, people will come in to their wars with their hate, and then they'll throw out the oppressors. But you just installed yourself back into that place through hate, and now you just have to wait for the new things that you've installed back into the cycle through your hate to manifest in time. And then the next generation comes around like, do you have any idea how you've hurt us? And then they rise up and throw out the old one. This is seen all throughout the Bible. And Walter Wink wrote this trilogy of books on the domination cycle, and he was really addressing demonic powers, but he didn't really believe in demons. I think he was just kind of... So it's interesting because you have a theologian who's writing about demons who doesn't exactly believe in demons. I think maybe he did later in his career. I don't know. But he ends up exposing the way that they work without even really knowing that he's talking about an actual thing. Yeah. So it's well worth your time to look into these books called The Powers under Walter Wink. Yeah.
I haven't read them, but I have heard Jamin summarize them, so I also think they're good, probably.
All right, well.
Yeah, sorry, I hijacked your thing that you were saying. Did you have any more thoughts about that with the fighting hate with hatred? Yeah, can't become a demon to fight a demon. Let me go back to my list of talking points. Okay. Oh, another thing that was great in this movie is like the community versus isolation. And so you have a lot more experience, obviously, in deliverance ministry than I do, because I don't do it. But for like me and my personal story, that was really, really huge. And like I in the stories of others that they have like shared with me, I've also seen it kind of be a big theme of this idea of like the demons will kind of lull you into this place of being like this kind of like self-indulgent loathing is the only safe space, and like other people can't be invited in to see the ways that you're messed up, and other people can't be invited in to like speak truth over you. You can't ask for help. You can't like go and like share your burdens with other people, right? Because they won't understand. They're gonna reject you. They're gonna think that you're messed up. They're gonna be scared of you now, and like no one could ever understand how dark and twisted and messed up you as a person are. You're like the da 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 da, and then they get you into these little like pockets of isolation, and it's a method that abusers use. Like it's how narcissists like keep their victims trapped, is they like build them up this like idea of themselves that's like, oh, all shame, all hatred, and then they're like, and I'm the only person that can ever make you not feel like this, or I'm the only person that ever gets you. And the last song that the Saja Boys sing, which is also one of the best in the whole the lyrics are so scary but in a really cool way. There's this line where they go, I'm the only one who will love your sins. Feel the way my song gets underneath your skin, or whatever. And it's this just message of like, you can't tell anybody else about this. Like, I'm the only person that you can confide in. I'm the only person that you can listen to, because I'm the only person that's going to listen to you. And like, you're so messed up and all of these things that you're hiding, like, you don't have to like repent of that. You don't have to confess those, because I see them and I accept them. And like, you don't need to try to be anything different than like this terrible picture that you think you are. Because like, I'm going to be there for you. And when you come and be a part of me, it's going to find acceptance in that, right? So that is like isolation. That's a tool of abusers. That's a tool of narcissists. It's a tool of the demonic, right? And then community obviously is the opposite force of that. And community is the like goodness that breaks through that. And like, community is the thing that you're supposed to be living into. And so these girls, Rumi comes in and at the end, she like interrupts the Saja Boys song, and she's talking all about this, like, I have broken into a million pieces. I have lived this life of lies, and now I'm choosing not to do that anymore. And the thing that I think is awesome is that's good and that's strong and that's powerful, but Guima still like attacks her, and she like can't really fight it by herself. Even though now she's like living into truth and she's living into goodness, which is really important and is the crucial first step. The thing that like gives her even more strength is Zoe and Rumi join her. And Zoe and Rumi are like, we are together in this. Like, we are not alone. We are living into community, and like, we are going to be a voice of truth in each other's lives. We're going to be a voice of accountability in each other's lives. We're going to be a voice of encouragement in each other's lives. And their weapons like glow and get stronger and get bigger the more that they have community. So like, the fans, when the fans get out of the little like brainwash vision that they're having at the Saja Boy concert, and they start singing the This Is What It Sounds Like song, their weapons like glow more, and like, there is strength in numbers, and there is strength in community, and specifically in community that is like supportive and encouraging and loving, and like having accountability, and having like like truth and advice and good like spiritual guiding and that kind of stuff. And then when Genu, spoiler alert, dies, oh my gosh, that was horrible. But when he dies, Rumi is like, I wanted to save you. And he's like, you did. You gave me my soul back. Like, I have been rehumanized, and I didn't think that was ever possible. And he goes, and now I give it to you. So when he dies, he is even in his act of community is what makes Rumi's sword glow super big so she can cut Grimu in half. And then at the end, this is also, okay, leading into what we were just talking about of you can't fight hate with hate. They actually don't kill Guimu at the end. And they don't like kill all the demons at the end. You see them like slicing through some of them with their swords and whatever. But like, at the end, the culmination of the movie is they like float up in the air and they hug. And their like togetherness and their friendship and their love and their support and their community is the thing that like seals the honeymoon and makes everybody like go back. It's not some big like epic sword art like da-da-da-da-da-da stab. We get that like a little bit, but then when she like cuts Gimu in half, but then he goes back together, and it's like, that's not the way that you can fight him. And so the way that they fight him is their community, and I think that's also really beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really have confession without community. You can't really. If you could heal yourself, then people would be doing it all the time. I mean, that's why self-help books are so prominent, because everybody thinks as long as
and
I
why
can find
you
that
need
right
to buy
book.
80 of them, because they don't super work all the time.
Yeah. But a lot of times the cure is right there. It's your friends. This is why recovery groups work off of people committing to one another, and the list goes on of how you overcome through community. I remember reading an article a long time ago that was like, are you dealing with pornography? And get involved in a community. Just being around other people will actually help you fight this better than you think. So a lot of times when people think like community is the issue, because that's what the demons are whispering. If they really knew you, they wouldn't like you, which I've seen in so many sessions where people are like, I don't want to tell you what I think the Spirit's telling me to tell you. I'm like, it's fine. I can hear it. It's all right. Well, I'm not going to pull it out of you because this is community. Like, if you're ready to give it to me, I'll take it. And we did a whole episode on allowing the Holy Spirit to lead those moments. But when you create this space for people to talk, and they're willing to, and they trust you, then you find the space to really heal from those wounds. Yeah.
And I think that's probably why shame is one of the biggest weapons that they have, is because it breaks community. It puts you into hiding, you know.
Yeah, isolation is a chief tactic of the enemy for this for inner healing and spirituality.
And shame was one of the most prevalent themes in K-pop Demon Hunters as well, and that was like the number one tool of Guima as well.
Yeah, which is helpful to remember. Like, Jesus is calling you toward freedom from that shame, but it's interesting. Like he integrates all of us into the church. Like as we come to him, he's like, okay, now here's my body. You can't do this alone. You can't do church alone, because church by its definition is plural, right? So you're like immediately put into something that I know can harm, but is supposed to be a healing kind of community.
Yeah.
And when done right, will actually help you overcome these kinds of things.
Well, and the other thing that I liked a lot is, so they didn't go, we already talked about how they didn't go in the direction of, like, you should just accept all the bad things about yourself because, like, demons aren't that bad, blah, blah, blah. They didn't do that, but they also didn't swing hard in the other extreme. Like, they weren't like, and then all you need is love and everything, da 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 da, and it's puppies and rainbows and da da da. The movie really emphasized the importance of accountability and confession, and it was like, don't like live into your sins or da 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 da, but also like don't just ignore them and pretend that they don't matter, because all you need is your friends. They were like, part of being in the community is like accountability. Confession was a huge theme through the thing, like talking about it and then like having people there to help you not feed into that anymore. So I liked that as well.
I think they do give a good critique of when the church does go south, when community does go south and it becomes something else. And they do this well through other what's-her-face.
Celine.
Which I know Amity's about to rant.
She's
so
the villain.
I'm glad that she's going to
the
do
villain.
it, because you're
Yeah.
supposed to rant about Celine. They did that on purpose.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, when I watch Celine, I'm like, I see a lot of well-meaning church people in Celine that are doing the wrong thing, but they think this is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they caught that. Rather
Yeah.
than just like be like, there's not this other kind of force that gets muddy and confusing in the midst of it. They put a character into it that kind of captures this like
Yeah.
space where people think they're doing right, but they're actually doing so much more harm. So
Yeah.
now you can rant.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is too, right? Celine is kind of the perfect example of what not to do and what not to say to someone who is like in this spiral of shame. Cause her whole life, Celine has told Rumi, like, you need to hide these patterns. You just need to like, don't let anybody see them. She's without meaning to, with like intention in her heart to do good, she is partnering with Guima.
Yes.
She is saying to Rumi the exact same things that the demons are saying to Rumi. And so she doesn't mean to be doing that. She thinks that she's pushing Rumi towards something that's like good and healthy. And like, she's like, I want you to be well. I want you to be free of these. I want you to be able to seal the Honmun. And I want you to be able to like live into freedom. But she is partnering with demons to accomplish that goal. And then it comes to this culmination where Rumi is like so like shaken to her core because everything she's feared has just happened, right? Like her friends saw the lie that she has been keeping from them, and what do they do in response? They turn their weapons on her, which is just this gut-wrenching thing. And also I think important because like the world like is dark, and people with good intentions do bad stuff, and like it doesn't always work out 100% of the time that like when you are honest, like it always goes exactly the way that you dream, right? There can be people who hurt you, and there are people who hurt you, and there are people who respond badly to like acts of bravery and like the first being like, please help me. If that is rejected, it's really hard to ask for help a second time. And so that happens to Rumi. Her friends are like, you are a demon. You've just said that you've been working with Jinu. Like, how are we supposed to trust what you've said? Because you've lied to us your entire life, and all this stuff. And so she goes to Celine, and her solution, now that she's like, okay, I asked for help, and it was absolutely spat upon, and like now I don't know what to do. She brings her sword to Celine, and she's like, Celine, I need you to just end this. Like, I need it to be done. Like, I'm gonna hurt more people. There is no redemption for me. I'm a demon. Everyone's been telling me, and like, basically take me out. And Celine says pretty much the worst thing that you could possibly say, and she's like, I can't. She doesn't say that I won't. She doesn't say I don't want to. She doesn't say I'm going to be with you in this and we're going to find a way out. She says, I can't. Why? Because I made a promise to your mother that I would protect you, even though I didn't know that this is what I was going to be protecting. And she basically, once again, reiterates to Rumi, just like all of these things that she's been telling her whole life. She's like, the way that we're gonna fix this is by you going back into hiding. The way that we're gonna fix this is like, you told your friends that went bad, so go back. We're gonna cover it back up. We're gonna tell them that the demons made them think that you were demonic, but really this isn't you, and this isn't a part of you, and all that stuff. And so that actually puts Rumi into like such a low breaking point. Like, she hadn't gotten low enough at this point, I guess, in the film, but like that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, where she kind of snaps and she's kind of like, hey, if the honeymoon breaks, then maybe that's a good thing, because what we have been doing up to this point has not yielded fruit, right? It has yielded more cycles of shame. It has yielded more rage, more hatred, more abuse. The demons are stronger than ever. Like, what we've been doing hasn't worked. And so I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going in a new direction. And thankfully, the direction that she goes in is like honesty and confession and reconciliation and all of those good things. But like, Celine is this character who is so stuck in her own, like leaning on her own understanding, and is so stuck in her own ways, and has like such a stubborn heart and a stiff neck that like she cannot see anything other than what she believes is good. And what she believes is good, it turns out to be what the demons are doing. So like, she's working for evil and she believes that she's working for good. And there are Christians that can get into that spot. And like a lot of like church hurt and religious trauma, which is hugely prevalent in the modern day, a lot of that stems from people who have hardened hearts and don't realize that the things that they are intending to be good, because they think that they're right and they think that this is the way it has to be, are actually so harmful and so hurting other people. And so Celine, she grinds my gears, but it's like, again, it's important that she's in the movie, because that happens in real life, and it's another like image that you can see of like what happens in real life, and you can be like, oh, I don't want to be like Celine, I'm gonna try something else.
I like Celine being in the movie because in her I see the way people have treated me, and in her I see the way I've treated other people, and I think she becomes convicting because she's not me, but she is me at the same time. And so you have this space to be like, oh man, you know, and when you're called to the church as a Christian, naturally you're called to community, and community is where you get hurt. And therefore every Christian pretty much carries some level of church hurt, some more prevalent than others. And Celine kind of becomes that characterization of someone that we can all pin our church hurt on and be like, there's a better way to do it. And then, at least if you're like me, you can also be like, I remember the time that I did that to someone. Yeah. There's a better way to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so true. Okay. let me confirm my notes. Okay. Oh, okay. So I have one more thing that I wanted to talk about, and then if you guys have other stuff that you wanted to mention as well, or if the conversation flows naturally, for our longest podcast that we ever have done, is just like, I love the avenue that they have used to like tell these messages is music. I love that. I think that's great. I love that it's K-pop demon hunters, and I don't know, instead of like I don't know. So one of the podcasts I was listening to was comparing some of the plot points in K-pop Demon Hunters to Star Wars, and so they called it Lightsaber Demon Hunters or whatever. And it's like, we have media that kind of like depicts like fighting these forces in a physical way, right? Like, it's a battle, it's a fight, da-da-da-da. K-pop Demon Hunters has some of that, but like, I love that the avenue for fighting these like demonic forces is music and is creativity and is like bringing something new into the world. And like, I love that, because like, we are made in the image of a creator God. Like, that is a defining characteristic of who God is. And so like, human beings are creative by nature. Like to be in God's image is to be a creator of sorts, right? And we like express that in a lot of different ways. I personally believe everybody is creative in some way, and there's some people who are like, I'm not creative because I can't draw. And then it's like, okay, well, you, the way that you behave with numbers is something that I could never fathom. Like mathematically, you are creative, or like, there's different ways to be creative, right? And so I love creativity as the avenue of like fighting the demons, right? Like, instead of having all of these thoughts in her head, Zoe, one of the characters, the like little rapper girl character, she writes, right? That's where all of her lyrics come through. And part of the way that she like does not listen to the lies is she puts it in her notebook and she like shares it with the other demon hunters, right? And we get there's this beautiful scene of confession of both Mira and Zoe where Rumi chooses not to partake. She chooses to still keep lying, but like they both come forward with like their thoughts and insecurities and stuff. And Zoe's is like all of my notebooks and all of my thoughts and all of these lyrics that I've written, like I didn't think anyone would ever care about them. I didn't think that they would ever matter, but like with you guys they do, and they matter. And so all of their music comes from like their heart and their soul, which is why Takedown doesn't work as a song, is because it's not like heart and soul and creativity. It's like bringing forth more destruction. And when they bring forth more life, and when they create, it's like really, really powerful, and it connects with people, and it helps build the community because people can connect to the thoughts and the feelings that they're sharing. I love that, just like also as a writer and as a music, I wouldn't say musician because I can't play any instruments, but as a music person who does a lot of writing, that's great. Because when my friend was like, don't you fight demons with music? I was like, yeah, low-key, that is true. Something of a K-pop demon hunter myself. So I love that like creativity was the avenue that they chose. Because they could have picked anything. It could have been like race car demon hunter. It could have been mathematician demon hunter. But they were like, no, we're gonna do creativity, and we're gonna do music. Because like to bring something new about like every act of creation is like a partnership with who God is. And it's like a living out the image that you were born to bear, which is the image of God, who is a creator. So I think that that's really beautiful too.
Yeah. I found with Deliverance too that getting demons out sometimes requires creativity. You know, a lot of people are just looking for tell me the 10-step program I need to remove the thing. But every situation is different, and what the person needs requires creativity. So like, I feel like I've seen movies where some hardened student doesn't want to listen, but the teacher finds some creative way to like get through to them. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Or you hear about those counselors like, you want to sit down and draw a picture with me with the little kid, and then somehow they turn that into. That's what Deliverance is like too. Like I remember the Holy Spirit just being clear to me one time, like this person needs a friend, just play a game with them, and that was what helped. That was what worked, you know, because that was what they needed. They needed to not feel like a project. They had to overcome things that were related to feeling like a burden. So you show them that they're not a burden. And if you don't have the creativity involved in some kind of brainstorming efforts to help people out, then yeah, you're gonna find yourself in those situations. So there's been times where I've been working with people and just the thought comes to my head of like, we're not even going to work today. What? That's what we came in. No, we're going to do something else. Let's go do something else. And that becomes space for them to heal where they weren't expecting it. Likewise with music, you have that creativity fighting demons in the Bible. It may not super often, but like Psalm 91 is a song that is referencing several demons and trying to keep them at bay.
Or Jewish. Like Saul and David. When Saul was being oppressed by demonic forces and by wicked spirits, David played music to help him out.
Which I assume was commonplace, because when they're like, Saul has demons, what do we do? It's like, well, we're going to need a musician. So we don't have verses that explain that, but
the fact that
for
they
that to
knew
be
they
like,
needed
that's
a
what we
musician,
need.
it must be something that happens.
Yeah. So you've got these spaces in the Bible that make you realize like, oh, these are creative avenues of fighting demons in some sense.
Yeah.
And since it just kind of goes along with the plot a little bit, you can also see times where David's Psalms, though they're genuinely honest, seem to embrace a lot of hatred to fight back, and those are the Psalms where you're like, under Christ, I don't know that I could sing this.
Yeah.
Which
it makes you wonder about like the parts of his story that the Bible doesn't like totally play out. Like just imagining like what was the fruit of this in his life? How did this go? Because you'll read those and then you'll flip to the next one and you'll be like, oh, this is a totally different tone. This is a totally different vibe. And I wonder if David, even in his own life, had moments of being like, hey, this hatred and like this expression of like violence and destruction that I'm bringing into the world isn't working. Like I wonder if he had his own moment where he had to switch takedown to golden, or things like that.
Well, there's one scholar that thinks that David, that the Psalms are arranged in a specific order on purpose. So it'd be interesting to pick his mind as to like, are these darker ones
Let's get him on the podcast.
supposed to be read with the ones around it that give it a different tone than what it has? I'd be curious if there's anything to that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I might be wrong because I haven't read this in a while, but I think C.S. Lewis in his kind of devotional book about the Psalms, which is one of his best books. Nobody even knows it exists. But I'm pretty sure he says at one point, like, under Christ, it's hard to imagine singing some of these psalms because they're so different from the cross.
Yeah.
But
Shout
at
out
the same
C.S.
time,
Lewis, friend of the podcast, by the way.
At the same time, you recognize David was also very honest about what he was feeling, which gave him some space to deal with the emotions. Yeah. Even if they weren't always the right emotions. So.
Yeah. Which I felt that. There's so I put out an album about a month ago called Dreamscapes and Dragons. Shout out to me. Shameless plug of my own music.
10,000
friend of the
plays, right?
podcast.
Yeah,
it hit 10,000 plays?
It just hit 10,000 streams, which is actually so crazy and made me really emotional. Anyway, whatever. There's one song on the album. It actually ended up being my favorite song on the album. It ended up being your favorite song on the album, where it was. It's a song called "Courage, Dear Heart." And when I wrote the song, no one else in the world has ever heard this version other than my best friend Breeze. But there's a version of this song that used to exist that was because the concept of the album is it's like a musical kind of narrative of start to finish, kind of like a little bit of spiritual deconstruction and reconstruction, a little bit of spiritual warfare and what I've gone through, right? So there is a point where the place that the song Courage Dear Heart started was I wrote it at the absolute lowest point of my entire life, where I was like ready to walk away from God entirely because I was just dealing with a lot of bad stuff, and I was like, there is no way out of this. It was like very much the Rumi going to Celine and being like, just take me out, I can't do this anymore. And so there's a version of that song that used to exist where the lyrics are so crazy. They can never see the light of day because they are so crazy, and they're so like just angry and hurt and full of rage and full of all of this stuff. And then I wrote that song, and then I kind of like tucked it away and didn't look at it for years. And then when I was writing this album, that song just kept playing in my head over and over again. And I was like, it's crazy how nothing about this feels relatable anymore. Like I remember being in a moment being like, this is the way I'm gonna feel forever. And now I can't even like conjure up those feelings anymore. Like the lyrics of this song feel crazy because they feel so foreign to what I now feel every day and experience every day and what I believe is true. And so I rewrote the song, and I kept the melody, and I kept a couple lines, but I surrounded them with different things to like give them a different context. And now that song is like the epitome of like what it feels like to overcome the things that you never thought you would overcome. And so why did I start talking about this? Where was I going with this?
David has psalms that even in their weirdest moments find redemption.
Oh yeah, so like I think that music is really, really powerful because even when it's something that feels like that was not a good song for me to write at the time that I was writing. It was very self-indulgent. It was very like kept me in mindsets that weren't healthy. But like in the act of like creating that and like putting it into somewhere other than just my brain, like there was an opportunity for that to be redeemed in a way that I didn't think it ever would be. That's where I was going with that. And you see that with a lot of the music in K-pop Demon Hunter. There's a lot of like themes that in a very like Broadway musical reprise, but just in a different genre. There's these like narrative themes that kind of like continue throughout different songs. Like there's a part in the last song, this is what it sounds like, where the melody from Golden can be heard in the background, which is really cool because Golden, when the Rumi's part of Golden is still a lie, like she's talking about like I'm gonna be shining like I'm born to be, and I'm no more hiding, and da-da-da-da. And it's like, girl, yes, you still are, actually. And this actually, it's almost like a song that she wishes was true, but isn't. And then in the end, when they say, this is the song we couldn't write, this is what it sounds like. These are the lyrics that I couldn't ever say before, this is what they sound like. You get the little, like, golden melody in the background being like, it was almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, the thing that you wished would be true one day, now is. And you got there through creativity and through community and through the rejecting of the demonic lies and like the redemption of your narrative and your humanity and that kind of stuff, which is really cool.
So idea for K-pop Demon Hunters Volume 2.
Because it is coming out. They announced that there's going to be a sequel and I'm so excited.
Goodness.
Consider changing the lyrics to Takedown in your second movie and redeem the song in some way.
That would be good. She also sure did do that in the movie.
Oh, well,
like
never mind,
before Mira comes into her room and is like, Mira comes into her room and she's like, why are you rewriting our lyrics? Because Rumi like rewrites it and is like, the patterns.
But ultimately, the one they play is more of like a in-your-face kind of thing.
So sweet, so easy on eyes, but you're hideous on the inside.
I wonder if David actually had those moments where he had to toss them out, because the Dead Sea Scrolls, or what we found at Qumran, I want to say he's written over 1,000 psalms. So you only know 150 of them. If not 1,000, at least in the hundreds. So 150 made the cut.
Wait, how do we know that he wrote other ones that we don't have?
Just the Qumran scrolls are like, of the psalms that David made, there were, 1,055. 5 were for casting out demons, several hundred were for this, and several
And one of
hundred
them was called Golden, and it was really good. And they...
And we found it in Hebrew and switched it to Korean and over to English.
Then switched it in English. Yeah.
This is how you get Star Wars, the backstroke of the West.
Well, it is like, that's the other thing. So, like, we've talked before on this podcast about, like, moments in media that you're like, okay. Well, and they're also, like, one of the main writers and one of the main women who, like, made this film and, like, brought this into being was raised Christian. And so I think maybe, like, some of these Christian themes were, if not intentional, just, like, maybe intentional or maybe just like subconscious from her upbringing or whatever. But like, even we've talked in the past about in media that is not meant to be Christian, finding like really, really beautiful like workings of the Holy Spirit. Like I've talked before about the Thunderbolts movie. I know you've talked about that scene in Dear Evan Hansen where you just see something that you're like, this wasn't made by someone with the intentionality of like, I'm going to put a Christian message in here. But like the way that you hear it or the situation in which you hear it, you can be like, oh, this was from God. Like, God utilized this in such an important way for me. And I just feel like there was so much of that in K-pop Demon Hunters. Like, I'm listening to these songs, and I'm sitting there being like, it's a banger! Rumi's vocals are insane, the melody's super fun, the lyrics are super great. And then it'll, like, hit a point where I'm like, oh, and actually that part was written by the Holy Spirit. And actually the voice of God said that. And I know
at least
it sounds like Rumi,
used
but
by
like,
the Holy Spirit. In
yeah,
that
like that is really, really crazy.
Nope, it's gone. Whatever I was going to say. It was great. It's probably the greatest thing anyone's ever heard, but it's not there anymore.
Oh, so it was This Is What It Sounds Like by K-pop Demon Hunters. That's the greatest thing anyone's ever heard.
Oh, all right. Well.
I think it means that's question time. So I asked Amity this beforehand, and she hasn't answered it yet.
Oh, yeah.
But what was up with the cat and the crow?
Oh, you mean the best characters in the film?
And the best line in the film.
Yeah, I made the hat.
I made the hat
tiger.
for the tiger, but the bird keeps putting it on.
I love that. Well, so the tiger and the magpie. I was doing some research on Korean traditions so that I could have a little bit of knowing what I'm talking about. And those are just like really, really commonly seen characters throughout like Korean tradition. So it's kind of like it's like a recognizable character. I guess for us it would be kind of like similar to seeing like if you see like I don't know. Well, now I can't think of an example off the top of my head. But, like,
Eagle.
yeah, maybe. Like, a recognizable character, it's, like, attributed to different things. So, like, the fact that Genu, this, like, demonized human that we think is a demon, is hanging out all the time with this tiger and this magpie, these, like, commonly known characters, it would, like, trigger early to any like a Korean person or anybody who like knows about like Korean culture and tradition and media, it would be like a trigger right at the beginning to be like, oh, he's different than these other demons. It's kind of like a symbol of his humanity, like the fact that he's hanging out with this tiger, because the tiger doesn't want to hang out with Guima. The tiger doesn't want to hang out with any of those weird demons on the bus or on the plane. The fact that the tiger and the magpie are like companions to Genu is kind of just like a little hint and a tease that he's not actually a demon. Like, he has humanity. And like the even like the way that he talks about them, and like the funny little line of like, yeah, I made this hat for the bird, but or for the tiger, but the bird keeps stealing it. It's just like, okay, being funny and like caring about animals are not traits of demons. Like, this guy is different than all of the other evil that we have seen depicted in the film. So it's kind of like a just like a little tag and a little like hint at what's to come, like the plot twist that will be revealed where he's not a demon at all, he's a human that's under oppression. It's just kind of a teaser trailer for that.
What was the joke we had at Nerd Church with the bird? And they're like, why does that have 6 eyes? We're like, oh, it's a Korean bird.
Oh, yeah, that's just what they look like in Korea. Birds have 6
You've never
eyes in
seen a
Korea.
bird in Korea before?
Yeah.
Well,
They
I
all wear
wondered-
hats.
I wondered because we see it like right at the end again, don't we?
Yeah.
At the very end. And now that you said that there's another one coming out, I'm wondering if that's like
Oh, like if they're gonna bring
foreshadowing.
him back? I don't know. They did. I mean, he kind of did offer himself as a sacrifice in place of Rumi at the end there. So there could be
The bird?
no Genu. Like, Genu.
A bird was more important than I remember. I was like,
No, Genu did. Like, he died in Rumi's place. So there is even just like a little bit of hint of that like sacrificial lamb type imagery thing, which it's, I mean, obviously it's not a Christian film. They didn't make it to be a Christian metaphor, so it's not a perfect like he needed to be redeemed. He's not like the Jesus character of the film. But because they did the kind of like ultimate sacrifice plotline, I could foresee there being some kind of a resurrection plotline or like a bringing back plotline in the next one. I don't know how I would feel about that if they did that, but maybe.
which would be, we don't really need to get into it now because some of our other videos have. You can look at our ones that say like, what are demons, things like that.
Yeah.
But like the lore of K-pop demon hunters is not biblical lore. So like,
Right.
you gotta. This is how you discern the media that you're engaging with, especially when it comes to spiritual realm stuff and magic realm stuff. Is like, understand what their lore is and the rules that they're playing by, to figure out
Yeah.
the morality and ethics behind how it's playing out. You know, so like with this one, no, there's not, to my biblical understanding, do you have humans that are demons in the underworld? Do they just
Right.
go to the underworld? But the movie's playing with a lore idea that the humans there and being used by the devil, if you will, as
Yeah.
a demon.
And humans definitely do not disappear
Yeah.
when
And they don't go back up to Earth and then back down and
Yeah.
all these
Yeah.
other things. So like, but like, that's not per se a reason to not watch the movie because
Yeah.
it doesn't match. It's just like, okay, I gotta discern my lore and
Yeah.
play around.
Yeah, again, it's not a Christian movie that plays
No.
by the way that like Christianity, like, it's not Christian demonology. It's
Yeah.
it's a fictional movie that has some really good, really accurate themes for what happens in it with like the real life, and then it also has some that are not accurate at all because it's an animated movie.
I will say one of the things that hit me as accurate is his face when he said, the voices have stopped. And like,
I
that
have literally had
relief-
people tell me that.
Yeah.
gonna
and
start crying
the
right
relief
now.
on their face
Yeah.
when they say that, it's tangible, you know, to them. And it was just very powerful.
Yeah. I think that was much because, you know, Deliverance is an invisible force that you're working with too.
Yeah.
That's one of the signs when you can tell it's happening. Because it was for me, like when I finally found my freedom and my deliverance, I was like, why is it quiet? Where's that thing telling me I suck? Why does that stop? It's been there for like 20 years. What's going on? You know, so yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in there. I could easily see, though I know K-pop Demon Hunter would be upset by this probably. I could easily see like Angel Studios having released this movie with no problem of being like whatever mythology we're working with. This has the kinds of things that we want to.
It does read very Christian.
Yeah. So, but at the same time, Angel Studios isn't always worried with like matching perfectly. It just does the story communicate the kinds of things that we care about. So,
I can't wait to make Dave watch this at the chapter house.
Just a bunch of grown men watching animated movie.
I'm gonna ask him.
Three
To
teenagers
do it
singing
at the
pop
next pastor
music.
retreat. I'm gonna be like, "This is the curriculum I would like us to do."
Oh yeah, well that would be something. Anything else?
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. You didn't even. I thought for sure you were gonna bring up Rumi being a Nephilim.
Well, she's not though.
Yeah, she's not.
Because if I was going to get into that, I was going to clarify.
No, I was going to wait for you to call her a Nephilim, and then I was going to correct you.
Right. Well, that's what everybody at Nerd Church said too,
Yeah.
because her dad is supposed to be
Allegedly, her dad's a demon. I have a theory that he's a human that's demonized, similar to Genu, for a couple of reasons. That's what I'm hoping is in the second movie. Is I'm hoping they go into her backstory, because they don't really talk about it at all. They're like, her dad was a demon, her mom died. The end. That's all you know. So I'm hoping they go into it. But anyway,
because if it was following biblical lore, then it would be your dad was an angel.
Yeah.
Your mom was human, making you a Nephilim. But whatever somebody said, they're like, that means her dad's a Nephilim. I was like, nope, you got to get it right. Dad's an angel. She'd be a Nephilim.
Yeah.
And her disembodied soul would be a demon. But that's Christian lore or
that's
biblical lore.
in the lore of the K-pop Demon Hunter universe and the demonology that they're functioning with.
That's not in there at all.
That's not in there at all.
Yeah. So.
Just bummer, because we love to talk about the Nephilim here. Have you thought about the Nephilim though? Have you considered? That's what it is.
I was wearing that shirt for
Nephilim?
this podcast episode, and then I got ketchup on it.
Wow, I was gonna wear
That's
it,
my
and
story.
then I didn't.
These are the great stories to end this with. I
Yeah.
was like, why am I still watching this?
No,
Tasha, what shirt were you wearing?
I was wearing this one.
Oh, the best
we all
of
wore
us.
red though, so that's kind
Oh.
of cute. We do
Counts,
match.
yeah. All right, that's good.
Anyway, highly recommend watching this film. I thought it was so good.
Yes.
It's phenomenal. It's great. I'm gonna watch it probably again today. I love the music. The music's so good. Oh, and I hope so. Like it's a musical. Obviously, like the movie is a musical. There aren't that many songs as far as musicals go. The movie is concise. It's an hour. It's an hour 30 minutes. It's a short movie. I'm hoping that with the absolute out of nowhere success, that the next movie is longer and has more music. Or I hope that they release maybe like an album of songs they were gonna put in the movie and cut. I just want more content.
Or they ruin it.
That could happen.
Now we're focused on
That could happen.
on money and franchises. You
Don't do
know
that.
where
Don't
to
say
go
that.
from
Don't say that. Don't say that.
there. I'm just saying, it's a movie of substance and character. It might be done now.
Well, that, and I think it's great. This is a good thing to end on. Like, this movie connects with people. Like, this movie means a lot to so many people. And I don't think that it's just because the songs are bangers, which they are. And I don't think it's just because, like, when you really think about it, like, the plot line is something that we've seen before. It's a story of good versus evil. There's enemies to lover redemption. Friendship is the thing that defeats the bad guy. Like, there's nothing remarkably crazy, new, inventive about, like, when you strip down what the plotline is. But the thing that I think gives it substance is, like, how, like, beautifully it talks about things that we don't usually get to talk about. And, like, it's the spiritual warfare stuff. Like, I think that it connects to people because, like, people have been Rumi. Like, even people who have no context for Christianity at all, or even Christians who have no context for spiritual warfare because their church doesn't teach them about it. Like, everyone knows what it feels like to be ashamed of something. Like, that touches people's hearts in a really big way. And getting to see a character be freed from that is like such a hope bringer. And like I think it's putting the gospel out in a palatable way, in a way that maybe people don't even pick up on, in a way that maybe wasn't even intentional. Definitely wasn't intentional. But I think that like that is hitting with people, and I think that that's the reason that it is such a phenomenon.
No. And, you know, you now have the space to enter into people's lives in some way.
Yeah.
When they're talking about that movie, like, I can be like, oh, yeah, no, I mean, I used to deal with those voices. And they stopped. Oh, what happened? Well, Jesus was able to put an end to it, but I had to go through some inner healing stuff to get there, you know? Well, then it gives you the space to kind of enter into those stories.
And the songs are bangers as well, is the other thing.
And I will say, I watched it with my 9-year-old daughter.
Oh, did Hope love it?
She did.
I knew she did. Oh, I can't wait to talk to her about it on Sunday.
And some of those like more scary moments, you know, I would just say, wow, that's a lot of lies, isn't it? She'd be like, and I'd be like, man, I just wish that the truth would come out. And she'd be like, And so to kind of just break into those really scary movements with, you know, the truth of, hey, these are lies. This is the scary part. But I mean, I just think it's such a beautiful message for her to hear that, you know, hey, people have these lies, you know, in their life that they've got to overcome. And, you know,
Yeah. Man, I wish that this movie would have come out before we had filmed the episode about how to talk to your kids about the spiritual world. Because this is, it's kind of like, it reminds me of like, you know, when like Inside Out came out and then therapists across the world were like, this is such a useful tool to like help people identify like mental health stuff. That's what this movie feels like for like, this is a gateway to talking about spiritual warfare. It's like, what Inside Out was to therapy is K-pop Demon Hunters maybe to, I don't know, exorcism. So that's great. I love that Hope saw it too. I'm going to sing with her tomorrow at church.
that's cool.
I have a way to close this out unless we're still going.
I could talk for 4 more hours,
that's why
so
I said
you should cut me off here.
Amity talked about creativity and letting God use that. That's exactly what we're getting into on October 18th.
Oh, yeah! I also thought about plugging Reveal.
Yeah, from 2 to 8 p.m. at 1208 Greenwood Church here in Jackson, Michigan. It's called Reveal 2025, and it's about the creativity of the Spirit this year. So in the Old Testament, when Bezalel and Aholiab got to go and make the tabernacle, it says that God gave them all the skills and talents and artistic abilities to build that.
Yeah.
Which shows you, honestly, almost one of the earliest gifts in the Bible is artistic expression through the Holy Spirit's gifting.
Yeah.
And I think it's part of the reason that we are always fighting so much about like bad Christian art, because we're the ones who are supposed to get it, you know. But we always see just almost a mockery of what the world makes. Like, oh, it's a Sprite can logo, but it says Spirit, Christian art. Ching. You know, like that's the kind of stuff that I saw at Christian music festivals over and over again. But this whole thing is about, we think everyone creates in some way, like Amity said earlier. And this is about showing you the ways in which in media God creates, or in media the way in which people are creating can be an expression to us of like, yeah, you know, Jesus created media too. He made parables. Some of the stickiest stories you've ever heard were from Jesus. And the Bible is media. The Bible is artistic expression of poetry,
music,
horror. I mean, all genres are in there, except sci-fi, maybe. Well, Nephilim. So
Nephilim is kind of sci-fi.
So it's all. God has always been expressing through the Holy Spirit in artistic ways and creative ways. That's much of what this movie does, and much of what we also started discussing about how the Holy Spirit's kind of worked in our own lives to give voice to our words through creative expression. So October 18th, right now is early bird prices just during whatever month it is.
September.
$15. It's cheap and affordable. Dinner is provided. Grab your tickets. We'll put the link in the info below so you can join us.
Yeah. It's going to be a great time. I'm supposed to write, I guess, another song for it. I haven't done that
You
yet.
can play your old ones if you want, or you can
Yeah.
write new ones. Whatever makes sense to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, Amity will be playing some music. Our other friend Jay Bird, and
Oh my gosh, listen to Jay Bird's album. I plugged mine earlier, and I should have plugged hers instead because it's the best music I've ever listened to in my life. Dare I say, better than the K-pop Demon Hunter soundtrack? Maybe.
and speaking of K-pop, cue the K-pop AI version of our.
I knew you were
song.
gonna do that.
You know I had to.
Bye, besties.
We love you.
Amity singing loud, she's shining like the screen. K-pop demon hunters fight the shadows in between. Jamin's nodding with the beat, Tasha's right there too. We all feel the fire when the light breaks through. The world's got whispers trying to pull us down, but the movie shows us how to turn it around. Don't listen to the dark, don't follow those lies. We got the truth burning bright in our eyes. It's more than a movie, it's a battle cry. Spiritual warriors, we will rise. Flash of color, faith in motion, the story comes alive. Every step in rhythm keeps the spirit by our side. The enemy is shouting, but their echo fades away. We're dancing with the courage that will never decay.
We broke into a million pieces and we can't go back. But now we're seeing all the beauty in the broken glass. This guy's a part of me. I'll find your harmony. My voice without the lies. This is what it sounds like. You don't even know the words.
Sorry.